let me test something for science purpose. Well, does this look very dramatic to you, chat? Does it look like a professional stream? I hope it does, because yeah, otherwise I won't be able to do anything.
Very dramatic.
Anyway, it's been a long time. I used to be, well, semi-professional Twitch streamer, right? I mean, we all were during COVID. But my last stream dates back to my last GM in Res, which was like a year ago. So bear with me. I can see some people already challenging me various time controls. Casual. The good thing it's a casual, so I won't lose a lot of rating for St. Lucia's Club. So basically the plan was we stream for a couple hours, and first let's play some like Blitz and me talking, and then we'll see, maybe we'll do like a puzzle run or two, whatever it's called on Lichess. I never remember. Yeah. Okay. And I'm a GM in Res for St. Lucia's Club for the next 4 weeks. Okay, this week and next 3 weeks, that makes it. So there will be more streams, and if you're somewhere in the area, just pop in a club. Like evenings, typically I'll have a lecture or a lesson. Just come here and say hi. Right. And what do I do to accept challenges in chronological order? You even have to tell me this to Twitch chat. What's the name of the account? What account? You mean St. Lucia's Club account? There should be a command ! Challenge or something. Yeah. Ask mods in the chat, they'll teach you. Yeah, anyway, so I assume I'm accepting the top challenge, the one that is on top of the screen, and then we'll go from there. Okay, we're starting. Very unusual board, very unusual this thing. Okay, e4, d5. So now, of recent, I play knight c3, which is a very stupid move, but yeah, for the purpose of kind of being educational, okay, let's go c4. I'll actually try to play real openings, because my openings have nothing to do with real openings. Like if you watched me like back in the day when I was streaming, like you would know by now that like Miro's opening book is like absolutely weird. Knight c3 was already a mistake. What did I do to deserve all that? Come on. Okay, let's shamefully lose game 1, I guess. What on earth do I do? That knight e4, what do I do? I resign or something? No, seriously. Do I go what? Queen d3, bishop f5 is bad, right? Queen f3, there is queen d4. No, I just lost with knight c3. That's absolutely terrible. That is absolutely disgusting. Seriously. Seriously, this shouldn't be happening. Okay, I mean, I will not resign, of course, but it is a terrible, terrible position. So black should just like play knight c6 and crush me over there. Well, the thing is, if I remember this line correctly, I've played a game, a really funny game in this line with white. So I guess I should have played bishop d2 after check. Anyway, so there was a line where the person just like went full ham on me, like sacrificing pieces and stuff. And I won the game. I somehow defended, won the game. But the cool thing about the game was that my 24th move or 25th move was knight g1 to f3. So kind of I didn't really have the time to develop my knight from and the thing is, like the moment I've developed my knight, my king was already on e4 by that time. Okay, bishop e3. I mean, I really hope to trade the queens and just like be a pawn down, which would be a huge success considering how badly this game started. I'm still like borderline lost, but nowhere near as bad as it used to be. Like I have a pair of bishops for the pawn, so that's, I guess, acceptable. Half of the amazing Hearthstone team is in St. Louis. Yeah, so that's referring to me and Peter Swidler staying in one of the chess houses and playing Hearthstone on really, really, really big screen. Back in the day was fun. I don't know if you guys play Hearthstone still. Thanks very much for enjoying my comments from Croatia. There was a crazy story associated to me traveling to St. Louis for Croatia commentary. Apparently it takes 3 full days to get to St. Louis from where I am. So I missed my first flight and I got stuck in Munich. And they were very nice to me. They've given me the hotel and stuff. And all I had to do is to accept my destiny and to take the same flight to Chicago 24 hours later. And it would be perfect. But instead I thought, okay, it's not that I thought, that they said, there is a flight which brings you to St. Louis a bit earlier. And that would be a flight United through Newark Airport. And back then, so now I'm an educated person, but back then I didn't know what a mess was Newark Airport. So needless to say, I got stuck there as well. Spent ginormous amount of time and nerves and stuff. But anyway, that was one fun experience. Eventually made it. Knight c4, so here I'm not even sure if I'm worse at all, because now I give a check, I take this b5 pawn, knight's hanging. It's not that I'm not worse, I start having these naughty ideas that I might be better here. I mean, the a pawn, right? Like if I manage to keep the bishops on the board, so like a4, I'm nowhere near worse, it's just that Black's gonna take on f3, I won't be able to win. So I still want to preserve the bishops. And, okay, bishop d4 seems to make sense. And now, if I'm given a chance, I'll actually trade for the knight, because my a pawn's gonna be pretty serious. Come on, you probably meant f6. Yeah, so this way. Anyway, that's a very, very lucky outcome for me. I shouldn't have won it. I should have lost it, to be honest. Anyway, let's move on. Why do I play white all the games? So I'll start with something a6. Come on, you must be serious. Okay. I'll just out of pure I don't want you to do what you want to do, I went to a4. What are we doing in here? Do we want Grandmaster chess or entertaining chess? Because I want to do something silly here, but I'm not sure if it gets approval from the authorities of the chess club. Okay, knight c3. So the big plan is d4, knight a4, queen a5, knight takes d4, b5, knight b3, and then I couldn't calculate any further, but I just thought, okay, that's such a ridiculous position, it deserves to be played. d4, yeah, again, knight a4, opting here. Now if knight d7, I can just defend the, no, knight d7 I can still take. So queen a5, I can take d4, that's one fun position. Can you play me, please? I won't be able to tell if it's you or not you, so the thing is, I'm just accepting challenges, top to bottom, so that's what I do. Here, though, let's try to be clever, question mark? What would be clever? There's one, really funky move. I mean, the game has already started, in a very funny way. So I thought, yeah, rook a4, which looks ridiculous until you realize, black has some difficulties defending the d4 pawn. And then I go b4. I mean, I suspect, objectively, it should be really bad for white. But who cares about objectivity, right? c3, dc3, d4 is the plan. Okay, it can't be sound. Seriously, it can't possibly be sound, but that's fun, right? dc3, yeah, d4, so I'm sacrificing yet another pawn. Probably hyper optimistic here. I'm like very likely I'm hyper optimistic here, but I'll wait a second. So there'll be bishop d7 and rook c4. Okay, we'll figure it out. Basically, we'll figure it out. I feel like I have to stop castling. Coming back to Twitch after a long time. Yeah, fair enough, but yeah, somehow so many things going in life that like streaming on my own Twitch is no longer a consideration even. Like I probably could do that, but okay, e3. Why this whole pawn or whatever, double pawn, triple pawn sacrifice is so speculative? Because I do not necessarily have the time to fully develop my stuff. Right, rook c4 and now queen to a5 is probably... It's gonna be quite problematic, to be honest. Yeah, like I don't like rook c4. There was an option of going bishop c5, and probably I should have taken that option. So now I'm not even sure what I'm doing. I guess queen to b3. It's such a terrible position. I'm still kind of like not completely lost, which is funny. And if you give me a couple of tempi, I might actually have like a decent compensation, but that's only if I manage to castle. If I can see the YouTube chat, yeah, I do. I'm on Twitch and YouTube, and I can see the YouTube chat, thanks to modern technology, aka multi-stream. Queen h5, so now it's like b5, b4 is on the agenda, which we couldn't care less for. So my objective in this game is very, very simple. Castle short, and then I should be like in a really, really good shape. Okay, so just go with the flow. Castle short, knight d5. Knight d5 is mildly infuriating because reasons. Okay, queen c1. So point of like me keeping the queen on the c file, exactly that. So that if you go b5, I can take on c6. Yeah, okay, that's one good position. Okay, queen d7, knight d5, or knight d5 at once. That's, I think, fair to say white has some advantage. What is this drink? It's Coca-Cola. Greatest American invention of all times. Miro can read all chats, yeah. Ooh, wait a second. So knight f6 stopping me from checkmating you. How naughty of you. Okay. Ah, there was a queen on offer, but yeah. We've forgotten the queen. Queen c2. Well played, but I'm taking this guy. So the whole point was to stop black from castling. I actually missed a checkmate in a few, starting with queen a8, but it doesn't really matter. Okay. A lot of challenges. As I said, like the plan is to just accept them starting from the top of the page. and I'm afraid I won't be able to wait for a long time. So if you're like not making a move quickly, yeah. By the way, this is a very very good system for black. I'll just mention it. Bishop f6 is not the move that I would be playing in a tournament game because objectively, at least my opinion, objectively black is already slightly better after bishop f6. But anyway, that's the move order that kind of justifies my previous play, so I felt obliged to go for it. Like bishop takes f6, but it's not a great line. So knight f6 g6 is actually very solid, but in order to play that, you kind of have to be familiar with what do you call them, King's Indian setups, right? Because it's not necessarily white will not necessarily take on f6. He can just like play g3, bishop g2, knight f3, go for double fianchetto, and then you're probably playing some sort of a King's Indian. Knight e5 going here. That's one. I mean, so normally, if it's like if this did not happen, if black just like continues development, I would probably not go d4 very early. I would probably keep the pawn on d2, sometimes even go like d3, b4, b5 for English opening ideas. But since I'm provoked here, but I'm winning a couple of tempi, d4 and the knight, well, likely goes back, right? I will play d4. Even though, once again, I'm saying that kind of from structural perspective, I'm not even sure if I want the pawn on d4. Anyway, castle, and then, yeah, f5, and we go here, and we try to push as many guys as possible on the queen side. While, theoretically, at least, being safe with our king on g1. So this is a kind of tricky structure, to be honest. Because whenever I try to play something like that with black, you can do so against b3, you can do so against Trompovsky, right? d4, knight f6, bishop g5. So whenever I try to play this with black, I actually end up in, let us say, problematic positions. But at the same time, like, I do not know, like, why on earth white has to be better here. So that's like, you know, having trouble with both colors. That's very Miro type of thing. Queen to c7, and as I said, I'm pushing, and I have no idea what to do. Bishop e6, attacking this dude. So now, there is a6. Bishop takes, I'll take b7, right? And because it's an educational stream, let's just find out. Like, I could theoretically try to calculate and say, okay, that's a good move, that's a bad move, but that's lame, right? So instead, I'll just like go for it and figure out what happens later on. d5 shouldn't, like, my feeling is d5 shouldn't hold. So there should be a problem with this move. Now, one thing which is like relatively easy to understand, that after queen c6, like, one move to prove white has like a superior structure would be to just get like go c5, right? And then I have protect possible. Oh, no. This ain't gonna work. This ain't gonna work. I have more dudes attacking d5, right? Queen d6. I don't know. Like, part of me just wants to return back some material I feel like I do not deserve. Yeah? Yeah. Takes. I mean, it's like, chat, you know, like, one's supposed to keep the d5 knight, right? And should not engage in this type of speculative attacks. But I couldn't help myself. I just thought, yeah, this should win anyway. So objectively, white is still winning, of course, because I'm winning the d5 pawn. And I just thought, yeah, I'll do it. Queen h5, and then I'm coming at black at every possible angle, pretty much. yeah, there's like C, pawn is strong, attack is strong, everything's strong. Is it a tournament? There is always a tournament on League Chess. Just this particular one is not tournament, but like me playing with the viewers, pretty much. Yeah, Rook G8 is an option, and maybe the only move that avoids the immediate checkmate. But yeah, okay. From what I remember, I can analyze a little bit here, right? Bishop f6, ef6, c4. So the real move here is d5. Or should I mean, there should be a way to take it to some analysis board, right? But anyway, so chat, just remember, the move is d5, cd5, queen d5, knight c3, and queen to a5. And this is how you're supposed to play this line with black. And you can like easily check. Rated games, I should not be accepting rated games, right? From what I understand, because otherwise, the rating for St. Louis Chess Club is gonna go downhill. Trio is a very, very reputable time control, which I just cannot do. So let's see how it's gonna go. But normally I'm like trio I can play from my phone, and that's been a shift recently, which will tell you how much of a non-professional blitz player on internet I am. That I am faster from my phone than from from the computer. So obviously, okay, this game failed to start. I'm sorry. We proceed to the next one. Yeah, and by doing this, I just cheated myself to get, like cheated you guys, I mean, to get myself another white. So just like whenever I have a black, we can do rated games. Okay. We can do rated games. Okay. Yeah, click on analysis board below rematch. Yeah, makes perfect sense. Yeah, since I've disclosed that what has to be done, I won't longer do it. Yeah, I'll just go knight f3 and g3 and bishop g2, and the plan is to go d4. There was a game in Croatia, yeah. So now that you've seen me preparing for d4, now you go c5, yeah? Okay, I'll go c4 then. There was a game in Croatia, a very interesting game, d4, d6, d4, e5. I think played by Prague and Prague on the white side. Prague Wesley, I want to say, but I'm not sure. Castles. It's not very exciting. I probably should have gone d4, to be honest. Probably should have gone d4. Well, I just noticed I'm playing like a very serious player, so I should stop like playing silly moves and try to concentrate. Knight c6. So now the big question is, can I go d4? Can I go d4? Well, and even if I wanted to, I won't do it. I'll go d3. I'll be very, very cheeky. d3 and a3 and h3, like, all this subtle little quasi-clever grandmaster moves. d4, yeah. Takes. Now knight b4 becomes a thing. But if I go a3, knight c3 and e4 becomes a thing, right? So what I will do is I will go here. You'll play b6, I reckon. I'll just go a3. So this way, losing even more tempi and building myself some sort of a hedgehog. That's a weird hedgehog, because normally, like for the hedgehog standards, you're supposed to have the bishop on e2, So I go here, and rook d8, and this one will be targeted, so I will have to go something along the lines of queen c2, but then f5 is gonna happen, right? Knight d2, knight somewhere, my d3 is hanging. Okay, fair enough. It's a weird position anyway. So the thing with Hedgehog though, black at some point will run out of good moves and will have to play bad moves, right? At least that's the plan. Knight c4, there is queen d3, which we hate to see, to be honest. We'll take on e5, they'll take on b3. So is knight e1 ever a move? Yeah, it might be. It might be the move that I have to play. Because now, I say e4 wins the pawn, but at least I have a secret hope that I will have something. I might not. Honestly, yeah, e4, okay, I take on g7. I go here. Yep, go here. Rook d1, so that after this capture I'll have a check and some knight c4 move, and I'm hoping to win the d3 back. Yeah, so check here, king goes, or whatever. And I was hoping for knight d3, sorry, knight c4. Knight f3 seems to do the same job. Does it? Knight d3 is c4 though, right? So I'll take, yeah, I'll probably have to go to c4. Hedgy, yeah. Okay, so now I might be losing c4 in return for the d-pawn. But how bad is that? Still not clear. By the way, what's the time control we are playing? Trio? Is it trio? Or is it... Ah, no, it's 3+2. Cool, because I can't really do trio. Alright, so I won't be even attempting to defend c4 because there would be like queen a4 stuff or queen e6 stuff, so I'm just like accepting the fact that I've lost this pawn and pretend that it was all planned and I have a compensation. And I might have some knight c5s, right? Might have some knight c5s. There's queen a4, of course. There's queen a4, but... Well, actually, there is queen a4, which is annoying. I've completely missed this. Knight c5 takes and go here. Yeah, does require a bit of calculation, this one. Knight d6. Yeah, fair, you can go knight d6, but then, at least I thought, I will have some annoying tricks. Like knight f4, the knight's very cool on f4, right? g5, I'm not sure if it's a good idea because I have a couple of threats. Queen e6, I have this move. That would be a cool story, but I have this move. Yeah, I obviously got lucky here, and where was it? Here after queen c3. Well, actually queen a4, my OG original plan was that after queen a4, I would have knight f4. And like I'm challenging you on the d file, and if you somehow allow rook d8, then I'll have knight e6, or I will have queen f6. I mean, anyway, it was a very cool plan until I realized that after queen a4, knight f4, d1 is hanging. Yeah. So I don't know what I would do after queen a4. It's like, it's probably bad for white, objectively. But anyway, thanks for letting me checkmate you. Okay, enough of this b3 nonsense. Let's do something. Let's do something brave. So we go e4. Sorry, I was like reading the chat. Rated or casual? Yeah, so I was told I am allowed to play rated, so we can tank St. Louis Chess Club rating together, if you guys wish to do so. G5, that is a funny move. That is a funny move. I'm supposed to take for what I know. And I'm supposed here already I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be doing. To be perfectly honest with you. Okay, I'll do something very stupid. Take, I'll go d3. And I'll go, what will I do? What will I do here? h6, bishop h3. Okay. I understand it's supposed to be like a very strong initiative, but I guess we're about to find out about it. Yep. So here, I guess h6 happening. Yep, bishop h3 happening. Or, I don't know, bishop h3, yep, here. And then I wasn't sure, because there is knight e4, but I have queen f3, right? And if not for knight e4, it seems that I should be able to defend. I know it looks like super ugly for white. I don't have any illusions. I understand it looks like very ugly. But it's a tasty pawn. It's a tasty pawn. So the question is if knight e4 somehow magically works. I don't think anything on the g file can happen anytime soon. So, and for those of you who do not know, g5 is actually, well, I want to call semi-legit move. So it's not the greatest move against the Rossolimo, but it is playable, believe it or not. It is playable. Okay, and continue with my kind of policy of making ugly moves exclusively. Nothing else but the ugly moves. You may ask, Miro, have you heard of restricted pieces? Yeah, the knight on e1 is not great. There's no debate about it. The knight on e1 is not great. Now you have a cool move, which is knight takes e... Ah, no, come on. There is like optimism and there is delusional optimism, and that's, I think, the clear example of the delusional optimism. To such an extent that I might actually consider allowing knight f2. But I won't. Queen f3. And yeah, this knight should be kept on e1. That's the feeling. Like, I should not be moving this knight. If I cannot win this game without moving the e1 knight, then, you know, so kind of putting some little self-constraints. I don't know if there is still somebody from, you know, from my old Twitch channel here in members of the audience, but we were doing a thing on like Wednesday, was it, or something, when it would be like Miro playing only castling long, and that was a lot of fun. Like, so basically you cannot, you're allowed not to castle at all, and then, or I was allowed not to castle at all, like keep the king in the center, but if I'm castling, it's only castling long. So I would like play some wacky openings and stuff like that. Yeah, this game, it actually did look a bit scary, but not for long. Now I'm very confident I can convert it, like even with the knight on e1. Yep. Just to keep the G file closed. It's like I don't have to, but why not? So that was the plan. If say if black wouldn't blunder a piece and just like go h5 one move earlier before giving away the f6 knight, I would still go g5. So that basically was the plan. So h5 should be answered with g5. Yeah, queen f5. I mean, I could take f7, but I kind of don't need it. That's provocation in its pure form, because I said I won't touch the e1 knight, right? And then the person goes to h4, so that knight f3 would be trapping this queen, but I'm not allowed to move the e1 knight. Okay, I'm threatening g3 though. I'm threatening g3, yeah. Should be able to convert without that kind of not touching the e1 knight. I'm also winning on time, if anything. Okay. We move on. 5-3. 5-3 sounds like a very, very long game, so that allows for more nonsense talking for the grandmaster. Okay, chat. What is the opening that we have? Ah, wait. I'm allowed to talk nonsense on my own time, but like if I'm not making move 1, that means the clock's not starting. So I went c6. Basically, the question was like pick the opening for me that I can place, and next time, like before the game starts, you can actually spam opening names. Preferably like kind of half sound openings, like not the rat defense or whatever. Yeah. This is the one that I'm interested in. Knight f6 and ef6. And these are like very, very weird positions. Seriously. These are weird positions. Because, yeah, and I'm not even playing the main line, which is supposedly like what? Castle and h5 and something. Yeah, so I'm doing this knight a6, knight c7 thing. But interestingly, it's not so easy, if possible at all, to refute what Black's doing. It's a very, very strange position. That's a fair question. Like, what is my go-to opening as Black against e4 and d4? Well, against d4, if I don't have to think. That becomes Indian, right? I mean, I used to play like as a 26-50 player. I used to play like the Queen's Gambit, the Nimzo, and so on. But like one true love has been King's Indian. Yeah, and against e4, it's even trickier, more kind of trickier of a question because there's no one. Funny enough, there's no one go-to opening. Like, I played the Caro-Kann without knowing anything about Caro-Kann. To be, like, perfectly fair. Okay, I know some stuff, of course, yeah. But there is no, like, strict knowledge that what do I do against the advanced Caro-Kann? That's the most important question, of course. Yeah. So I do that. I used to play Alekhine, Alokin, whatever you call it, which is nowadays doesn't seem to work like at all. There's like simply no reasonable line for, yeah, okay, so here this is an interesting moment because the thing is, one sooner or later is supposed to go g6, king g7, but the problem with g6 over here is why it actually takes on g6. Pawn takes, queen takes, and it's super duper awkward because bishop h6 check, right? I mean, I guess I could kind of try to prove that I can survive by going bishop e. No, I'm not interested in it. So what I'll do instead, I'll probably push the pawn to h4 for now, just to see how white reacts. And then there could be some knight d5 jumps anyway. So where I was going with it, yeah, c6. Caro-Kann is what I do now. My most solid would be the Petrov, which I picked up as as you pick up some bad habits. I picked it up as an adult, the Petrov, I mean. And I used to play some wacky Rouser Sicilians. I've played some Najdov at some point, but once again, like Najdov, even so-called knight of experts, they have to like actively repeat like, what do I do against bishop g5, and it's like bajillion different lines. Yeah, so for me it would be impossible to play a bishop g5 knight of game nowadays, right? Because it's like it's so much going on. Well, I guess this is what we do, just to kind of prove the knight is stable on d5. I mean, by the way, I have no idea what I'm doing. I kind of have some positional concept of what I want to achieve, but at the same time, I'm not sure if it's any good. Not sure if it's getting any good. I mean, it's obviously a very speculative line. Maybe I shouldn't waste the tempo on king f8, which is like, it's weird because the king in this line, the king actually belongs to f8, g6, king g7, but wait a second. Now I've realized I've done something really dumb, because the plan, the big plan, was that I go rook b8 here, believe it or not. And if I cannot go rook b, oh, okay, I mean, I'll try to do this one, which is like an utter nonsense, but yeah, knight e3, and like I absolutely have to go c5. Like if white gets c5, I'm just lost on structure, and it doesn't really matter. Like if tactics works or it doesn't, if I don't go c5, it's just a, you know, a terrible pawn structure. So I absolutely have to do this, and then if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And it's quite weird because like I'm seriously undeveloped in this position, one would say, right? I think it's terrible luck and development. However, it's not so easy for white to kind of make use of it. And my king is relatively safe. My king's relatively safe, right? Since the position kind of closed a little bit, it's not clear like how bad the situation is. Yeah, and here I just thought bishop e4, to be honest. Not sure if it's sorry, what bishop e4? Bishop b7 I meant. Yeah, bishop b7. Bishop b7. And then if white kind of doesn't react, I'll probably take on e4 with the bishop. I'm willing to accept this opposite colored thingies. So seriously, it's a really weird line. I imagine, like, if you check this game with the computer, you'll find that, you know, white was like close to winning all the time. But over the board, it's tricky, and that's me playing the very dumb move b5. Why has never played it? I've been almost 2700 because yeah. Why nobody? Yeah, so you see, I actually kind of accept the fact that people looked at me at 25 Grandmaster, because deep kind of somewhere deep in my inner self, I probably feel like 2500 Grandmaster. And when I was, say, closer to that, it still felt like a bit of a glitch. But so I don't really care. I don't really care for that. But yeah, I was much stronger than you could think. For a brief period of time. So that was like first top 50 placement would be 2007, where I was 2670, I guess, something like that. And then in 2008, yeah, I came as close as like 2696 and even like 2700 on a live list, which didn't get me anywhere, to be honest. So that's one more funny thing. Yeah, all right. what I want to do, I mean, what I want to do is do this. It's like developing my rook from h8, which was like very annoying to have it on h8. So I just thought, oh, wait a second. Oh no, my rook is what I'm supposed to say, right? Do you see it, chat? Like rook h5, queen e1? Yeah. Thank you for letting me play it out. Yeah, and rook takes. And then not bishop d6 because white has g3, but bishop to g1, and then bishop to f2, and bishop g3. Okay, that's finally one game that I'm like not totally ashamed of. Whoa. There's a lot of people wanting to play. Let's do some good old English opening. How far can someone come with only tactics? Well, you know, of recent I have a lot of like these kind of questions to ask myself, because maybe the whole kind of division on tactical chess, positional chess, and so on is kind of stupid. Because like we as an older generation, we tend to underestimate, well, you know, we are very dogmatic, and at some point us, let's say players born in the 80s or even earlier, we would accuse Nimzovich of dogmatism, and now the newer folks, they can accuse us of being dogmatic. So where I was going with it, yeah, like, so we, all the players, we have this idea, okay, this is like, say, the Carlsbad structure, and you're supposed to be doing this and you're not supposed to be doing that. But chess proves to be a very, very dynamic game, and therefore a lot of like new plans, new things popping up here and there that you would think, okay, so strategic thinking or like positional understanding does not matter because it's all tactics. But I believe that you give like chess authors, chess trainers 10 years and they'll figure out some new principles, and they'll just once again feed you new principles that, okay, this position works because you took your time to develop this idiot bishop, or you took the file that, you've played pretty much like you played rook b1 and now your rook is in semi-open file, so this, you know, this long tactic on the king side that happens 10 moves from now actually works because you were clever in the opening. Right, so I'm not sure where the kind of the line goes between tactics and strategy, and at the same time I do not think that you can kind of completely separate one from another. Being a practical player, you cannot say that like, I'm an attacker and I don't care what's like for any other aspect of a chess game. So you can go very, very far with tactics, that's I'm sure, because I've met in my relatively long career, I've met, well, 2,600 grandmasters for sure, 26 plus. They had close to zero understanding of what positional chess is. Like if you're good at calculation and you have this feeling for critical moments that, okay, I have to calculate now or it's too late, then you can get away without like this abstract thinking. So that's one idea that I recently have, that it's one can hardly be separated from the other. And yeah, like let's take Ali Reza for example. If you remember when I say it was his first kind of introduction to the world of top 10 or something, when he was playing Magnus's online tournaments. I mean, which seriously had some proper name, but I wouldn't remember. So, Magnus Cup, let's call it Magnus Cup. This endless online tournaments, and in one of them he lost to Magnus some relatively basic pawn endgame with a distant opposition. Like he's supposed to be keeping distant opposition, a pawn down, and then it's a draw. And he didn't do so, and he lost. And I remember like people going absolutely mental on the internet, like, Ali Reza, he didn't read a single chess book or something. And my argument always was like, dude, like the guy is 2750, and that was like pretty much his rating back then. The guy is 2750 without reading a single book. So just think what happens when he actually gets a book to read. Like, you're in trouble, guys. Yeah, so that's a bit of a clumsy, but I hope it explains what I wanted to say. I don't know why I went queen a4. It doesn't do much. But queen b3 hopefully does. Queen b3 hopefully does. e5, and here, to be perfectly honest with you, I was really hoping for bishop d6 to work. And because I was hoping for it to work, I'll go for it, even though I don't think it kind of works till an extent that I want it to work. So basically, bishop d6, yeah, queen f7, king h8. Now I have this silly tactic, queen e8, knight f7, knight d6, but it leaves me with a rook and a pawn for 2 minor pieces. So instead I'm gonna go and take on g6, which objectively I don't think is a good move. But at least like I'm grabbing a second pawn, I have some maybe, so okay, I mean not maybe, but obviously I have some threats. I have knight f7 threat. But not only that, I kind of make it awkward for black to kind of develop, that's I want to say. Now the big argument is if I go f4 here, because I do want me open some files, but at the same time, yeah, no, maybe I just put the bishop on e4. Yeah, I'll put the bishop on e4 for now. And then I'm looking at f2, f4 and grabbing it with the rook, right? b6 is a clever move. b6 is a clever move. I mean, I can obviously, like, I can try to win some material back, but this is not why we are streaming here, right? It's not for Miro to win like some material back. Am I sure Reza never read any chess book? Like, I mean, I've coached him for a brief period of time when he was like 12 and very talented. Of course, like to say that he never read a chess book would be an exaggeration, right? But yeah, he's not very, how to say, like he's not very formally chess educated in a traditional sense, which doesn't stop him from being a tremendously good player. So that's your answer. But like, how do you study chess these days? I just want to say that it's a check followed by check, and I'm in a pretty good form here in this one. Yep. Okay, guys, you hope you'd excuse me. I'll return in a minute or so. Should I just put the starting soon screen, or shall we stream a chair? What do you guys think? I mean, I love streaming the chair, but I was told for this to look a little bit more professional, I'll just probably do this and return in a minute. All right, and we are back. Hopefully, we did not lose all the viewers. Yeah, I think that should be our main view. What does the chat say? The music is painful, so I had to stream the chair. Oh wait, yeah. So, right. If I ever take one more break, I'll definitely make sure to stream the chair. Something about Ali Reza. He does not read chess books. He writes the chess. Nah, come on. I mean, he's not writing any chess books. But basically, when I first met Ali Reza, and he would be like 12, roughly 2500 rated, right? And he would be a national champion of Iran already. So the thing was he was like very good at some aspects of the game, and then would have like really surprising like breaches in knowledge in the other. Anyway, we continue with the blitz, but we will keep talking as well, so you're getting both of our youngest ever to reach 2800. Well, the thing with 2800 is like, I mean, it's like it should not be. It should not really belong into the same sentence. I feel like the youngest in 2800, right? Like people reaching 2800 doesn't matter what age. There shouldn't be a competition. I mean, if there will be a competition, who's the youngest to reach 2800, that would probably mean that something's broken with the ELO system. Because you're inevitably gonna get a 10-year-old getting to 2800, and that's just a pain. Okay, DC5 is maybe not very clever. Wait a second. So now you're telling me that I've made a mistake, which is not surprising. I very often do. So my plan was to trade and to go knight c3, but then black has knight e4, right? I only know this position like when black plays e5, not c5. So this shouldn't be... Oh wait, I can just castle. What can be better than that? It almost feels like cheating. You move two pieces at the same time. Yeah, so castling is cool. Knight to c6, and now, can I go knight c3 now? Question mark, question mark. What else can I do? Can I go knight e5? Knight e5, the queen d1, rook d1, knight g4 is what's kind of bothers me a little. Let me pretend I'm a clever person. I'll go queen c1 so that my bishop's defended. My bishop's defended, but I'm sidestepping this d file. Maybe gonna put the rook on the d1 square, and we'll see. Oh wait, Roman said something. That was Roman to say he doesn't write chess book. Yeah. Hope you're doing good, Roma. Knight a3. That's very typical me. Like playing, like developing stuff all over the place. Black should be better by now. Black should be considerably better in this position. But who cares, right? Answering your question about like how far can you go with tactics only? I mean that's my blitz on stream. That's pretty much like I do not spend time like thinking of strategy, and even if I would, there's no guarantee that the strategy I would come up with would be any good. So basically what I'm doing here is like I'm waiting for the game to become tactical, and very often when the tactic starts I'm already lost, but then I'm tricking you guys, right? So that's your answer, like how far can you go with tactics? I'm just like shuffling pieces back and forth, waiting for the tactic to present itself, for kind of the tactical opportunity. Well, I guess not in this game, because the person I'm playing is like very, very annoying player. Annoying in a good way, of course. I mean, don't quote me and say, okay, Miro was very mean to one of the players. No, I don't mean any bad thing. Like annoying that it's like I cannot really find the path here, how to proceed. So it's a very well played. So okay, I'll just take, I guess. Let's go a4. I'm still kind of fighting. It's not completely terrible. And I'm not enjoying this position the slightest bit.
how do you train tactic visions on the puzzle? Yeah, so here's the thing. I do not have like a clever answer. How do you train tactics nowadays? But I can tell you what worked for me. So for me, like I was, say, 12-ish, 13, something, okay, early teens. I would be a level of today's candidate masters, I don't know, 21 feeder, let's say. I like to think of myself being stronger, but objectively I was probably like 21 feeder. Yeah, and what I was doing, and I would be solving, yeah, like puzzles, the OG puzzle, which were like printed on paper, right? Like we didn't have computers back then. Yeah, and at some point I've discovered a wonderful world of endgame studies, but not just like a randomized studies, but studies by specifically Kasparian studies, which was like, I'm not even sure what the book's called. I recommend it on my streams and I'm ready to do it again, but basically domination studies, something like that. So, and it really teaches you the mechanic, the basic, the moleculars of chess tactics. So that, yeah, okay, in order for, the rook to trap the knight, it has to be this or that. Yeah, in order for, I don't know, a bishop to pin something, it has to be there. And you kind of somehow accumulate this knowledge, and it probably part of it goes into subconscious, and then you just start seeing tactics better. By the way, I'm getting absolutely slaughtered in this game. Knight d5, like a very, very cool positional play by my opponent that I do not enjoy the slightest bit. Let me be perfectly honest with you. What time control should you send? Like anything. Spam games and use stockfish. Well, you'd be limited to certain types of tactics in this case. That's my issue with this approach. That you'd be limited to a very, very like specific type of tactics. Okay, here I was hoping to get a counterplay. Where's my counterplay, chat? I was hoping to get counterplay, and I do not get it, right? But wait. Now I have a very serious question. Why the person who plays me is rated 2100 and not 2700? How is it even fair? Okay, centralize what's left. That's the way to go. I under-centralized. I should have went to e5, yeah. And immediately I'm getting punished for that, not going to e5. Yeah, I should have gone to e5 at once. Would have been much better off. Still, like, have a fantastic horsey on a3, joining the game, rejoining the game. Rook a8, and this means I'm getting checkmated, right? Well, come on, stop executing me. Let me breathe. Under-centralized, yeah. Like so pretty much like Queen d4 was just a little loss of a tempo. Queen d4 was a loss of a tempo, which okay, so you take this, I resign. We do not like those. We do not like those. So my secret hope is that somehow my opponent completely loses, kind of the sense of danger, and I'm somehow getting to this king. By the way, it's 5-0. Okay, I can just flag my opponent. Now wait a second. That's a brilliant idea, right? I'll just flag my opponent. I'll just flag the guy. Knight c3. Okay, I have a check. And what the heck is that? Okay, I go here. Oh no, my knight. That's famous. Famous Rosen's tricks. Oh no, my knight. Wow, glorious victory. I told you guys, tactics everywhere. Glorious victory. Grandmaster understanding. No, I mean seriously, I was like dead lost. Yeah. Yeah. Fair point is that one thing is how to study chess, and then the other thing is like how do you remember? How do you remember what you just studied, right? And how do you kind of use it, show it on the board, so to speak? Like, one of the most embarrassing things that happened to me was that when I prepared for the game, it was we are playing like a little tournament in Iran. Basically Iranian talented kids, which later on to become their national team pretty much, against some older grandmasters, let's call it this. And what happened, I've prepared some, I was playing white against Puya Idani, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, like really decent player, a grandmaster already. And I've prepared some novelty in the Knight of. Surprise, surprise. Miro actually going for something principal in the opening. Yeah, so I've prepared something in a Knight of, which sounded cool and all, until I realized that, yeah, like we have it on the board and it's a move 10, and I remember what the novelty was on say, move 15 or whatever I was supposed to play the novelty. But I had no clue whatsoever what was the path from where I'm supposed to play my novelty. So I've actually completely misplayed it. Yeah, okay, so here the big plan was to take on e4 and go rook e8. I do not know if it works. And I shouldn't know if it works, right? Okay, I mean, this way at least I'm getting. By the way, I mean, this game I'm playing, it's such an horror. It's such a, well, I mean, guys, if you wanna really, if you want an example of how not to play chess, that's a look at this game. I mean, that's exactly how you don't play chess. All right. I mean, and I'm not referring my opponent's play here, by the way. Like, yeah, my opponent probably made some mistakes, but I'm purely referring like my funny play. So look, I'm a pawn up, and my opponent's king is on e3, and I'm not yet sure if I'm any better. That's because my terrible opening play. Like, part of me wants to go knight h4, but yeah, we won't do this. We won't do this. Yeah, so knight e3. Well, actually, I'm gonna go d6 here. So the good thing is, it seems the knight is not getting surrounded, because that would be a shame. That'd be a shame if somehow I've lost this. Knight on e3. Is the book Domination in 2545 Endgame Studies? Yeah, well, in Russian it would be called something else, but basically, yeah. Basically, it is the same book. All right, so now, like a chicken and me just wanted to take on g4 and say I'm 2 pawns up. I mean, to take on g4 with the knight, but of course one has to go for the kill. Bishop e2. I think I've just bluffed my way to winning this game once again. Bishop e2, knight f5, and yeah, but this shouldn't really work, right? Check. Bishop d4, of course. I mean, I should be like, I'm supposed to be a people's entertainer here, right? So I do not know why I'm playing such bleak chess. Queen c2. It's also hard, like, to force yourself to think when you're winning to such an extent. I mean, How to Play Chess is a book by Znoska Borowski, yeah. How to play chess like an animal. How to play chess like what was How to Play Chess Like Zebras? Was it like something like a recent book of somebody? Oh, Chess for Zebras that was, yeah. Chess for Zebras, I'm sorry. Yeah, Jack and Queen G3, right? Okay. Let's just pretend, chat. Let's just pretend this game never happened. And we are getting to this point in this stream that I was thinking of doing some puzzles, but I see, well, the demand is crazy high for playing seemingly 25-ish grandmasters. We'll just go with Blitz, I guess, till the end of today. Then later on, there will be more days with Twitch streams and stuff. Come on, I mean, the moment I've declared I have no idea about the theory of Caro-Kann, and people play G4 stuff at me, which is unfair, right? Come on, it shouldn't be cool, this one. It definitely shouldn't be cool. And I take, and I go, I mean, I'm supposed to go e6, otherwise he'll go e6, right? So it's a good way of losing the game fast if I'll play like g6, e6, f5, and fool's mate, or whatever it's called. Here, I'm never too sure where I go. It's between b6 and a5. I don't think I ever want to trade on a7, like bishop e7 would be just actively bad. Yeah, castle's long. I guess now I go knight e7. Okay. Yeah, knight e7 was, by the way, like knight e7 was a clumsy move. Actually, I'm still not very happy with how the things look for me. Okay. I guess I have to develop a bit of ASMR here, pouring some stuff. Of course, Grandmaster is known for being like very, very good at spilling stuff, right? Go here. Honestly, I mistreated this position. I actually thought it was simpler than in fact it was. So I guess I have to put the knight on f5 now, even though it's quite risky because the queen is getting stuck. Yeah. So queen a6, and I'm kind of secretly hoping for knight c4 or knight a4 that the queen's stuck. Knight c5 though I'm not afraid of. I'll just take on knight d7. Is it random who I choose to play? Oh, honestly, I open the list. I don't know if you guys see the list. Do you see? Yeah, you see the list popping up. I just go with the top name on the list. So it normally should be time-based, or rather just like to just go with the flow. It's not necessarily time-based, but I think I'm very, very much behind on the schedule. A lot of people have already challenged, but regrettably I cannot think of a kind of healthier system. So it used to be that not a lot of people show up to these streams, and then you just like sometimes you'd be waiting for new challenges, and then it would work like fine. And even if like somebody re-challenges you for the second, third time, and then other person in the chat asks, so can you play me? And I would say yes. But now that I see like 23 challenges or whatever are still waiting, I cannot really say, okay, let me find you on a list and play you specifically one, while other, I don't know, 20 people might be waiting for the game for last half hour. So apologies for that, but that's how it is. Win faster. Yeah, we should probably like if demand is such high and if we do not care much about club's rating, I'm thinking for the next time what I will do is, okay, I'll go here, right? For the next time what I'll do, we'll limit the challenges to like 3+1 or 3+2, right? I mean, trio allowed maybe, but we won't be doing 5-3 or stuff like that because it really takes, yeah, out of 2 hours of the stream, it takes like more than 10 minutes sometimes. So that won't be very, very clever thing to do. Yeah, I just thought I'm winning a piece this way. And that's amazing about this position. Like me being a piece up, I'm still like not fully comfortable. Yeah, so this guy is now hanging, and there's a bit of mess here, right? Okay, I'll probably just like take on d4 and see what happens. Yeah, the guy was not hanging. In fact, the c4 knight was not hanging, so I could have potentially castled long. But anyway, I should be winning here. That's a very, very kind of safe, conservative assumption, being a knight and a pawn up, right, and 2 pawns up. I should be seriously better. The king did not move, and the rook did not move either, so castling long. One of the latest castles in my game. I'm thinking, we had this conversation before, but so I wouldn't be sure about the long castle, but short castle once I've played with black and a Sicilian, like closer to the time control, so say like move 38 or something. And I, seriously, being a grandmaster, I had to check, like look at my score sheet and check, like if I am allowed to make a castle. The reason for that was because like the game was so packed with like action, there were like sacrifices, I was attacked, I was attacking the guy, and like in a position when I'm castling, I'm a queen down for rook and a pop bishop and so on. Yeah, so it was like funny. Okay. Would like to see puzzles, yeah. Do a sim on leeches? Yeah, maybe one of the days. As I said, I'm here. It's a debatable acquisition, but I'm on, from St. Lucia's Club. But I'm here for the next 3 weeks. Like this one, the end of this one plus 3 weeks. So you'll get tired of me at some point, guys. Don't rush it. Don't push it too far. We'll do puzzles for sure. We will. I mean, we could do the simul like if you wanted to. I'm not sure if it's actually. I mean, we could. Yeah, we could. Oh, wait a second. And I'm talking too much, and I'm getting attacked. And this is like I do not like being attacked. Okay. But this is, the example of real grandmaster play being kind of a very, very greedy person. So I'm literally taking everything that is offered to me. Yeah, okay, sorry, but no takebacks because like it can go for ages. Sometimes, by the way, like when I play like on my own account, sometimes I would allow take back if I find the position to be interesting and it's like an obvious. You wanted to trade the queens on d8 and you went queen d7, and sometimes I would just allow that if I'm interested in what's going on. Okay, we'll go knight f6. Yeah, speaking of Miro's commentary, by the way, I just thought like I'm so different when I'm streaming to when I'm commentating for like a live event, and to be like perfectly honest, I kind of prefer like the feeling of like what you can say and like stuff you can discuss when you're streaming. But then like ideally one streams on his own resource, right? And then you can do a lot of funny stuff there. I hate this system. What can I say? I just actively hate this system. Anyway, it's not much I can do. It's bishop e2, bishop e3. And the reason for that, I mean, first of all, like a lot of players, like a lot of even like strong people played. And a part of me still cannot kind of take it seriously and analyze it. I just think, oh, okay, that must be some random kind of hybrid Averbach nonsense. Yeah, bishop e2, bishop e3, what is that? Yeah, so I do not take it like seriously enough. Okay, anyway, I mean, calculation is overrated, right? That's what we decided with the chat. What's my favorite gambit? What would be my favorite gambit? Okay, if we don't talk like wacky stuff. Let me think. Like, okay, there is a line called Reti gambit, right? And that would be knight f3, d5, g3, knight f6, bishop e2, e6. No, bishop g2, c6, c4, d takes c4 castles. And I can't really say if it's my like favorite line or something, but I had quite a few very, very interesting games. In this line, I've introduced some ideas that are still used today. But the problem with gambits, and sound gambits that is, I imagine like when you're asking me what your favorite gambit, Queen's gambit doesn't count as an answer, right? So the problem with sound gambits nowadays is that like everybody has a very strong computer at home or whatever on leeches. So whenever you play a gambit that makes sense, people quickly figure out one of the two things: how to refute the gambit, or if like the gambit is so cool that people just stop going for this position. So all the modern kind of cool gambit ideas, they're very short-lived, regrettably so. Krasenkov. Wait a second. What Krasenkov? Well, so I don't know Krasenkov. I mean, I do know. I mean, I don't know if Krasenkov has his own system against the King's Indian. I believe what he was playing, h3, knight f3, was called Makagonov. Makagonov variation. Krasenkov did contribute a lot to this variation, though. Okay, so now, normally I should not be considering taking on a2, right? But I'm still looking for an excuse to do so. You know what? Let's start by giving a check, and then we'll figure out. Because after bishop d2, I do take on a2 all day, every day, right? So the good thing with me kind of starting this little debauchery operation on the queen side, that I'm getting my opponent distracted from checkmating my king, right? So if I lose the game now, it's because I've lost a piece or something, but not because I'm getting checkmated. I'm never ever gonna get checkmated in this structure. That's the feeling. Queen d2, and for whatever reason, I've completely blanked on this one. I can still take the pawn, question mark. Can I? Queen d2, rook a2, right? Rook a2. Did I blunder something? Chad, did I blunder something? I mean, like bishop c4, rook a1 is what I'm hoping for secretly. Other than that, yeah, like I lag behind in development once again. Lag behind the tone, but it is a very important pawn. And if I ever kind of develop with a moderate success, I will have a very, very promising future then. Okay, and here, all of a sudden, we do this. Trading these bishops. And by the way, who is lagging in development? Who's lagging in development over there? Knight f3, we have rook b8. Takes, I guess, just takes. Yeah, but then I'm not getting checkmated, right? Can do a little x-raying over there. Can do a little x-raying. This knight takes, this knight goes to b6, the other knight goes to d7. I'm actually feeling fairly confident in this position. Now, if they don't take en passant, I'm just like winning d5 pawn, right? So they absolutely have to, and then ef6. Alright, fair point, but I'll just attack the bishop, right? And then take this dude. Take this dude, and take this dude. Somehow it really worked for me this time. I don't know why king f7. It's just like, you know, a bit of showing a little bit of culture, so to speak, right? Because I was not forced to do it. But I might as well. I thought I might as well do it, right? It's knight here, and it seems I'm winning the 4 points. The danger with two knights is like white gets to trade everything, and there is no checkmate with two knights, but trading everything in this position is quite a stretch, right? When I have like how many 4 passed pawns, it'll be not easy to trade everything. It'll be not easy to trade everything. Okay, I'll just go check. I go knight d6, king d3, knight d6, and then I'll keep pushing. Yeah, and c4. And let's reconnect with the ancestors by going e5, and we'll have 4 passed pawns again. I think under the circumstances, and circumstances being being very rusty at blitz, this wasn't a bad game. All right, we go on, I guess, yeah, for at least half an hour more. Darkness Side of Chess. That's one romantic nickname we have. But yeah. So the game, I'm sorry, but the game's not starting. It's a 5+3 game, so if it ever starts, it's gonna take. So we have like 10 seconds timer, maybe. 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I'm sorry, but I'll have to abort this one, and I'll move on to the next one, so that more people will play. And again, I'm sorry if it was like it was you and you were running to start the game and I just aborted it right before you were there, but I'm sorry. All I can say. Two quick question to fuel the chat. Are you still training for blindfold simul? No. No, not anymore. Because it's... I mean, at some point you just have to accept that you're dumb. And that's my case. Not that like dumb, but you're not getting any sharper with age. So I imagine I could do 20 boards still, like relatively, okay, not easy, but that's achievable. But the world record, like real fair world record, like not like just achieving a record for the sake of it, but like really playing, not so that everyone agrees it was a record. I think it's a tall order now. Like I'm getting quite dumb. So there is that, and yeah, like having Aliyev in a broad, because that was shock. It was shock. Yeah. So the person who's asking this question is referring to 2016 Olympiad in Baku when I was commentating, and I do not remember who was my co-partner for this one, because I had, I think, Ivan Sokolov for a couple of days. I had Dirk-Jan ten Heusendam, and I had Susan Polgar. So there were like 3 co-commentators that would be interchangeable. If I'm not mixing things up. Yeah, and then at some point, one of the days, we have a country president, pretty much, at the venue, and we know this, and we follow him with the cameras, and we say, yeah, like how much Azerbaijan sort of invested in having this Olympiad, and so on and so on, and then all of a sudden he pops up in the commentary box, and so that was crazy. That was crazy. However, had I kept the photo with him, I would get, I don't know, nice kebab at some Azeri restaurants, I believe, but I didn't. That's the problem with going c5 too early, because like your structures is already damaged with e7 f6 capture, right? So that's a little bit of an issue, these double pawns. Plus you now have the isolated pawn on d7. While I believe, strangely, that black's position is still kind of okay, and that's, you know, a power of two bishops, if you will. So I won't be able to just like automatically win the game. I'll have to be clever, but it is a very, very unpleasant position to play for black. So that's, I don't even know if I put the knight on d5. Maybe not. Maybe I just go here. Now, okay, I'll go here. Pretend that it was very important to, you know, to grab a space on the queen side. I mean, I have no slightest clue how this is supposed to be played. I have no slightest clue how this one's supposed to be played. I guess knight d5 is needed eventually. Yeah, but this way, actually take with the queen, right? Queen e5, now I should not be avoiding trading the queens, that's the feeling. Should not be avoiding trading the queens. And I'll go as far as like going knight d4. Which might have been a mistake, now that I'm thinking. Might have been a mistake. To be perfectly honest. Yeah, here. Now this is a big question, though. Like, if we end up in the opposite colored bishop's position, how much of an advantage do I actually have? Because I do have some, that's for sure, right? The bishop's not great. The bishop's not great, and okay, rook c1 is such an awful move, though. Rook c1 is such an awful move. I mean, I should have rushed to kind of try to get over there. d7, yeah, but now the big plan was there a big plan? Chat, was there a big plan? Check, rook b3. I don't like what I'm doing. But let's see. Okay, takes, right? I guess I must be winning. Okay, that's my theory anyway. So I go here. I take this guy. And your problem in this position is not only I have a couple of passed pawns, but also, like, black still has a lot of weaknesses, right? Black still has a lot of weaknesses. d5, yeah, but I'll just get the king here. Have to be careful not to get my bishop trapped, right? But basically what I do is I get all the way to a4 and then I start moving the pawns. Yeah, go here. I mean, I already could have gone b4, b5, but b5, b6 rather, but I don't have to. Like, that's one pleasant thing about opposite colored bishops endings, that you don't have to rush anything. Okay, having said that, maybe it's the time. So check and b6, bishop wherever, and then I'm threatening a6, a7. life's good, seemingly. Yep. All right, all right, all right. Is the stream alive? Because it's kind of strangely quiet. Okay, let's go here. Let's go e5. But I will not play the Petrov. I'll play first. Let's see if I get the chance to play the Petrov, because White could have gone f4 and then yeah. So I will not play the Petrov. I will play something fair. Should have played the Petrov. I have no idea what to do against the Scotch. So absolutely had to play the Petrov. Okay. This is a little bit easier. This is a lot easier. Was knight g4 a move? No, not here, right? Kinda have to do this. Yeah, knight d7 is interesting, right? That's one of my problems with all these lines, that I do not really know the theory. And the theory that I would know would date like 30 years back. And that by the way, that's like, okay, it's just like, today it's just me rumbling, but if you think of it, that could be one possible way of playing chess, or preparing for a chess game nowadays, that you find something that is still sound, like kind of a little bit venomous, like this line, for instance, the d4 against two knights, yeah? And you make sure to check it with like modern stuff, modern computers. And a lot of people might have quite outdated knowledge on these lines, yeah. Like now, okay, that's bearable at least. Okay, can I castle and not resign, or I have to resign? No, I don't think so. I'm a pawn up though, right? C3 definitely feels like too slow, if you ask me. C3 definitely feels like too slow. So the plan, I guess, is like check bishop e3. If I go knight c5. How to manage this thing properly, I'm not sure. If you go knight c5, you can take. If you go knight b6. It's just mildly infuriating, to be honest. I'm not even sure what I'm supposed to be doing. Okay, I'll just go here. Knight f6. It doesn't feel like the strongest move in the position, but I mean, just to clarify stuff. Queen d8, yeah, this way, bishop d8, but keep a pair of bishops, right? Keep a pair of bishops, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. And then this guy, sneaky, goes to b6. And all of a sudden my pieces will be quite good pieces. Yeah, I just take. And knight a3. I mean, if I would be a proper chess player, I would calculate a pawn sacrifice and go like bishop b6. But no, I'm lazy. So I'll just defend this one. And the big plan is to go bishop b6 next. And I'm up a pawn, and I have a pair of bishops. Kind of life is good. Well, that's a clever That's a very clever question, and I'd be having difficulties answering it. I feel like the commentator role, so to speak, stays the longest. And I'm noticing this during online lessons, that I ask the question and then my student is supposed to answer this question, but yet I don't give them a chance, and instead I go, yeah, it happens because of this, this, and that. So I'm kind of, still in this commentator role, that I'm explaining, the thought process. So there's one thing, like of recent, even like coming back to a role of a chess player is very hard. I'm no longer a chess player. I cannot stress it enough, but I'm no longer a chess player. And it's a pity, and sometimes I want to play chess, but whenever I try, play chess on reasonably competitive level, but whenever I try, the quality is so miserably low that I just, I can play one good game. I can play, well, almost every game. I can play a certain part of the game well, but playing, say, a long, tense game against Grandmaster for 40 moves, 50 moves is already a big challenge. And there is no real explanation to that. It just happened. Yeah. Wait, what's rook c6? What's rook c6? Okay, anyway, I just take it back, right? Bishop e3. Was there a plan what to do after bishop e3? There was not, I'm guessing. Do you want to do something funny here? Oh, no, not really. All we want to do is just take greedy chess, right? I was the advocate for greedy chess. Knight f2, I've seen knight f2, but knight f2, it's, knight f2, king takes, and so on. Yeah, knight b5, fair point, but then we are threatening a checkmate. That's what I thought. And then I gotta go rook e1 no matter what. Gonna trade the rooks. Yep. Go rook e1, trade the rooks, and the a pawn should just win me the game. At least there was a plan. At least that was a plan. Yeah, and we just take, and knight b5. We're gonna go somewhere. Yeah. At what point was I at my peak playing level? Coincidentally, it's very close to my peak rating, I think. So 2009, 2010, possibly. Or maybe climbing to this. Yeah, maybe it's late 2008, early 2009. Yeah, so climbing to 2690 or some sort, yeah. All right, so we've done the Caro-Kann. We've done, what, e5. I didn't play c5 yet. Yep. Are you... Yeah, so I'll answer the question with the question. I see a question from the YouTube chat. Do you mean I would ask a chess question, or somebody from the chat will ask the chess question? Because I don't have many chess questions. What's happening? A sub or a follow? Yeah, thanks for the follow. I forgotten I'm supposed to do this thing for the follow thing, but yeah, it's hard to monitor everything while playing. I'm old enough to be kind of pardoned for forgetting to do so, hopefully. That that line, the Sveshnikov line. It's actually meant to cause utter confusion, so I don't even know like what I'm supposed to be doing. Okay, I'll just go knight c7. Believe it or not, but I've played the black side of Sveshnikov against Sveshnikov himself when he was still like a very, very good player. And that's the only game I won against Sveshnikov. I played a few times. I think I had like most, if not all, my positions were bad after the opening. And I've managed to make all draws and I won one game. So that is, in a way, it is ironic that the only game I beat Sveshnikov was in Sveshnikov variation. What is LM? Life Master? Something? I guess. In case of St. Louis Chess Club, it must be like something like Legendary Monster. How about that? Legendary Monster. Ooh, D4. I've underestimated this one, to be honest. I mean, underestimated in a sense that I thought I'll be just better after castling. Now I'm no longer sure. Okay, anyway. So we go here. And we are really hopeful of getting like promising position because of two bishops. That's my favorite mantra. Yeah, pair of bishops, very cool. There's one move that I find awkward to react to, but maybe there's no problem. I don't know. Don't like my knight on c7, to be honest. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, of course, 95. Like, if you let me play a couple of moves, I would be probably even like slightly better, right? And now I feel like I have to sacrifice this one. Like, defending, I couldn't see like a comfortable way of defending it. Maybe queen e8 is the only thing that comes to mind, but bishop f6. At least my hope is that I should have enough of kind of compensation. Yeah, that's a famous word that doesn't mean anything. Queen d5 or queen d6 is a big debate. I feel for like queen d5 being better. Again, don't ask me why. Queen d5, knight e5, and f2 e8. I think that's what I'm gonna do. That's what I'm gonna do. And I don't think I'm better objectively, but I do have a reasonably strong initiative, right? There might be possible pins on the e-file. There might be some... Hang on a second. This shouldn't really work. This should not really work. Well, I guess I just take and go bishop d7, right? Just take and go bishop d7. So it's not a checkmate on the last rank, but also my queen is protected, so it's not a queen sacrifice. I just collect e1 and then take on d5. Yeah, so that was relatively easy. Lee Chess Master, the unofficial title of the platform. Yeah, so the good question is, like, why did I allow double pawns? Like, short answer would be intuition. I felt like here my chances are better than if I take on d4, knight d4. And I didn't even think of it like, do I have double pawns here and I want to avoid double pawns? That's weird. Like, when when you read the book with which tries to break down positional principles, you see a lot of this, like good structure, bad structure, double pawns, like weak squares. advanced players during the game, we do not really have this conversation. Like, do I have to have these double pawns? Maybe let undouble them, this, that. So it all kind of goes on subconscious level. So I actually thought that, yeah, taking on d4, I kind of give white the momentum, because cd4, I was expecting knight d4, and that's again, I have to react because c6 is hanging. So I'm delaying castle for one more move, and that was my thinking process. Anyway, yeah. Was hoping for bishop d7 after bishop b5. I actually don't know, seriously. Oh, wait. I apologize. I didn't realize I was white. What are my thoughts on the French defense? We should ask the computer. We should ask the computer what its thoughts on French defense. If you want my thoughts on French defense, it's actually quite controversial, because I've forgotten to mention, I've tried to play the French. For a brief period of time, I tried to play the French. It was kind of going okay. But then, yeah, by the way, c4 is not the move. c4 is not the move, but anyway. Should have kept the pawn on c2. Yeah. Okay, so now we are playing quadruple fianchetto, whatever it means. And then black can go c5 to keep it like totally symmetrical. I don't know if he should. Is there some queue? Yeah, there is a queue. Up there it says 18 more challenges we have until we reach, I don't know what it is, like a threshold or something. Yeah, until I'll be up to date. Yes, it's almost impossible to, while I'm playing, people kind of continue to queue in and on and on and on. There was one more funny question, right? Yeah, so thoughts on French defense. Whenever I tried French, it was like working for me reasonably well until I played strong players, and then I was getting destroyed. And with white, I'm not even sure like what would be. So currently I would go knight c3 against the French, right? Back in the day, I remember we were playing knight d2, and knight d2, knight f6, e5, knight fd7, bishop d3, and there were some like really longish lines with knight f4 in a certain point, f6, knight f4, some tactical nonsense, which I believe by now computer completely solves. So those were interesting times. So I don't feel it's a great opening, but there is a lot of people who just play French very well. So that's the thing. So there's a lot of people who just like happen to be very good players in these structures, and then it is what it is. Yeah. By the way, I just realized that for the King's Indian standards, I have a terrible setup with this idiot bishop on b2. Never put the bishop on b2 in the King's Indian. Boring French exchange. French exchange. Some people seriously play French exchange for an advantage, right? There are some people who in the Petrov they go d3 and push the knight back, then d4, like opting for the symmetrical French, right? If you go bishop d7, bishop c4, sack on f7, knight g5, yeah, could be. Why Hans is not invited there? I mean, I have no idea. I know that there was something between Hans and the chess club, but seriously, no information. Okay, so here, I feel like it should be very good for me, this one. But also, I do not know how to play it properly. Do not know how to play. Yeah, well, I'll definitely gonna go a 4, and we'll figure it out from there. We'll figure it out from there. And I'm really hoping for black to take so that I can take with the rook, right? Thoughts on the Pirk, or the Pirts, which it should be pronounced. You know, it probably falls into this category of, I don't know, what would be like S tier. There's no S tier in chess. Like there are like good openings, better. So A tier would be E5 related stuff, and E5, yeah, like one system, maybe a couple of systems against the Rui, and then Italian and possibly two knights against bishop c4. And there could be something else which I'm overseeing, but basically that would be it for the A tier openings against e4, right? And then for, hang on a second, should I go queen d2 and just self-pin myself, or should I go rook c2, allowing knight g4? It's kind of tricky. G4. Right, I'll just go here. Anyway, so that would be A tier openings. Yeah, anything e5 related. And I guess c5. I guess c5, and if the main Sicilian with knight f3 d4 played, then probably knight f goes to A tier and the Sveshnikov goes to A tier. All the rest is already like A, B-ish. So there's that. Then for, what do you call them? For the B tier, it would be Caro-Kann and the French, and then my question would be, and then some like sidelines E5 moves, like the Philidor probably goes into the B tier. Again, that's my like very lame understanding. And the Pirts is in between. I think it's like the bottom of the B tier, in my understanding. Again, like it must be somewhere like at the very bottom of the B tier. It barely makes it to the B tier, and otherwise it would be like C. Interestingly, what's B tier possibly is the Scandi. Like, believe it or not, but the mainline Scandi might be a B tier. No, probably not. Probably should be C. And then C, you have like Alekhine and stuff like that. And don't you think it's weird that this freaking rook on f4 is not great, right? Okay, all can I do? Yes, bishop knight h5 is. That's one annoying position, I have to say. Because I thought I was doing very well because of the stupidity of this bishop on b7, but that's my only achievement, sort of, right? It's my only achievement. Yeah, I guess I'll just do this. Need to open some files, man, so that this bishop is not as great. Yeah, h4 maybe? h4, h4 is yuck. Nah, not a good move. B tier for Scandi. The London is S tier for beginners. Yeah, like if you're talking D4 stuff, then, or yeah, if you take into account the relativity of like the ease you learn some of the openings, then London must be up there. That's for sure. Like London is very cool, like in a sense how easy it is to teach people, and like I wouldn't say it's easy to understand because there is much more to it that you, me, he, him would think, right? But there is a certain appeal of London, of course. Yeah. So I don't know what I did. Like this 96 is just ridiculous. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not so ridiculous. That's exactly what I told you guys. Like I'm like waiting for the tactic to appear and for my opponents to blunder. That's what I'm doing here. The D pawn. Mighty scary D pawn, right? Or E pawn, that is. at the end, this factor of not this bishop not being a very good bishop actually played out, right? So let me flag my opponent now. Rook f1. Yeah. Think he's cheating me? Yeah, very likely. So that's a fair question. What do I think if, let's say, no matter what black plays, white has ways to reduce black's winning chances by playing unambitiously or forcing a draw? That is, I think, out of the question. If we, again, we're not talking club chess because you literally can play anything you like, yeah? But if we are talking like chess up there, say top 10 chess, not only white can like neutralize black play if the need be, the opposite is very true. If you listen to the interviews, like people say, okay, I played this rare line of English because I wanted to get a game. So if you play like main line Queen's Gambit, not only like white can like hold black for a draw, that's like completely neuter, sterilize the game. The opposite is true. Like you memorize some forcing line in the Ragozin or Queen's Gambit accepted, Queen Gambit declined, whatever, and then white doesn't get a game. So yeah, the state of opening theory is in a way horrifying. And then some people thought, well, a logical follow-up would be to play Fischer Random, and yet it's a different game. It shouldn't be played. Tarash French. Super annoying to play against as black. Tarash French. What's Tarash French? The 92 French. It's kind of yes and no. Like if you want strategically complex position that you can play for a win with black, then yeah, the 92 is a pain. But like in terms of how do you equalize with black, 92 is like nothing serious. You can play an immediate c5 and take with the queen. You can play a6 c5 as some people do, and then take with the pawn to play the isolated pawn. It's not a big problem. Okay, guys, so I consider this one to be won by a grandmaster as an event of no show. I think I'll do. What time is it? Like 20 to 4. I promised to stream a chair, so I'll stream a chair for a couple of minutes. I'll return and we'll do a few more games till 4 o'clock. Okay? How about that? Chair stream PogChamp. Yeah. He ain't watching Twitch chat. No, of course he doesn't. How often do I play Fischer Random? The answer is... You won't like the answer. It's never. Seriously. Out of, like, if we check my accounts, Lichess kind of history, you'd find up to 10 games max, I think. Okay, finally somebody plays e5 against b3. And that's the funny line, yeah. Knight f3. I think the move here. Waganian dismantled Tarash French with Guimard. What's Guimard variation? Can you please tell? Good openings to learn at 15, 2011 doesn't require a lot of theory memorization. Well, you know, like nowadays, depending on how serious you take it, like everything, you could say like everything requires theory memorization. The thing is, like, you play, let's say, Gioco Piano Italian, you would, and you learn some like basic plans, like very first wave of understanding that you play d3, c3, castle short, make sure the pin on g4 is not bothering you, and drag the knight from b1 via d2, f1 to g3, and you're good to go, right? And you can play, and probably will play, up to 50 games until that point that you face somebody who look deeper, look for the specific moves order, and then kind of found sort of a hole in your preparation, right? But same goes for everything. Again, like you could say, let me play, you call it London, right? And London, and you would be playing the London, and you'd be successfully like developing the bishop. Go e3, c3, bishop d3, knight d2, castle short. Here's your opening preparation. Great, right? I mean, we've developed the pieces. And then at some point, all of a sudden, something happens, and we kind of run into somebody who actually prepared against the London, and we have difficulties. That also can happen. Yeah, okay. So here. I don't know. Like, I mean, probably should just play d4 by that point. Gilmer is 92, knight c6. Okay, so I had no idea, but low-key I was one of the players to play this line. I was playing knight to c6, believe it or not. I was playing knight to c6, and I was actually playing knight c6 after knight c3, which isn't, or was not considered to be a terrible line either. We are talking French defense, guys. Now, yeah, bishop d3 was a lame move. Point being, I want to castle, but an immediate castle now runs into knight g4, and it's kind of not fun, I want to say. So what I'm gonna do is go queen f3, and if bishop g4, I'm gonna go queen g3 maybe. Might actually consider capturing b7, so bishop g4 is none of my worries, I guess. That's one of those tricky positions now. It looks very innocent, right? So black kind of exchanged a couple of pieces, developed, blah, blah, blah. But strangely, like long term, if white castles, white goes some knight d5, you know, white could be better. Yeah, c6, okay, now we castle now. We have queen g3 now if needed. And yeah, back to this conversation, what to learn as let's say a player between 1500 and 2000. It gets much trickier with black, right? With white, you can do any stuff you want. Okay, for instance, now you get yourself a database from Croatia Grand Chess Tour. You look at Prague's games. Pragnananda with white, and he only exclusively played b2, b3. So you look at Prague's games and you think, okay, so he can play b3 against these guys. So that means b3 is playable against my opponents in my like little tournament for sure, right? And you'd be right, but at the same time, again, until the moment that people start taking you seriously, and then they'll prepare against your b3, and just pretty much won't let you have a chance to... well, we played 3-0 or what? Oh, I didn't realize there was 3-0. I shouldn't be talking that much, yeah. Of course, now it doesn't make much sense what I'm doing. Yeah, okay. No, but that's why I actually hate playing without increment, because like my kind of mouse speed is not great at best. It's like really bad, and yeah, I hate getting flagged in winning positions. That's pretty much the story. You see, I was completely winning, and yet I I flagged, yeah. Um, Best game you have played that has stuck in your mind and against whom? We've, I think, discussed some. So again, I can throw you back all the way back to 2001 and my King's Indian game against Grandmaster Kabalia. I've played quite a few that stood out. I can think somebody mentioned Krasinkov in the chat, right? And then yeah, I had a few very good games against Mikhail Krasinkov, and but strangely, like whenever I mention some of the games that I like and remember, they are not from the period when my rating was the highest. So that's weird. Because I definitely had some good games, like you would think, right? To get to 2690 or something. But I don't quite remember them, strangely. So most memorable ones were earlier. The streak has ended, yeah. I'm very, very, how to say, very, very sad about it. And that was my mistake. I kind of kept talking while it was clear that the person playing against me was determined to flag me. I mean, I just had no idea we were playing trio, no increments, and that's what happened. Yeah, all of you guys who are saying, let me play next and so on, once again, I repeat, I mean, I might be harsh, I might be a bad person, but I just open this list, which you see on the screen now. I click whatever challenge is on top of this list, and that's what I do. So if you are on top of this list, you will be the next one to play the game. That's it. Because the moment I start, cherry picking the opponents, this is ruins the experience for everybody. That's my honest opinion. So now I'm supposed to be Wars because that's a very, very kind of bad setup in the Grunwald. But what's cool is that I've avoided the kind of the symmetrical position. Well, knight a6 is such an awful move. Guys, if somebody plays knight a6 against you in this position, just know he's a terrible player, he or she. Like, yeah, that's awful. Knight a6, so just like this structure, the knight never goes to where I'm putting. Yuck. For club level players, have engines forced players to reconsider lines from the 70s and 80s? Well, kind of rude answer to this would be ask the club level players. But seriously, I think the engines made us all reconsider a lot of theoretical lines that we knew. Kind of that we all knew. There's a lot of lines that were considered like totally fine, but then turned out to be problematic, or vice versa, like the lines that say for white that were considered like completely harmless, and then we check and okay, computer actually likes it because it has found this new plan of doing this and that, right? So of course, like the introduction of the engine into our chess player's life has done an awful lot to change the game. I mean, you can ask this elite guys from the top 10. Like, it's clear they're spending more and more time analyzing various stuff with the engines. I think again, like somebody who listens to me every now and again would probably say that I'm repeating myself, but Anyway, so something cool that I've noticed was the engines. So first appearance, let's say, of, let's call it kind of public grade engine. So not only Kasparov and whoever has the engine, but you have, I have, everybody has, right? Or rather, maybe grandmasters have, and people who are serious about chess have. It was like mid 2000s, I want to say, or for some people earlier, but like reasonable engines that you could like trust for real and so on. So mid 2000s, maybe a bit earlier. And the feeling was back then that we analyzed, first of all, our kind of objective analyzing and with the engines was always, okay, let me get an advantage with white, let me play this sharp line, this. And the feeling was that white is that close to a win, or like to an advantage at the very least. So the guess would be that there is a couple of openings, 8-tier openings now are openings. So e5 and Sicilian do not lose. All the rest, objectively, white should be like seriously better. In the Sicilian, again, that knight of Sicilian, that is, like, the only way for white would be this English attack, bishop e3, f3 nonsense, or bishop g5, and play something sharp, and this is the way to put pressure on black, and so on and so on. But then, the stronger the engine becomes, and and the guess pretty much was that the stronger the engine becomes, it'll prove that French defense is unplayable. I don't know, Scandinavia players who play Scandi should resign by move 10, and all of that nonsense. So you would think there will be like very limited number of openings that will be debated all the time. But the stronger the engine gotten, they've proved completely the opposite. Like, you can play any random nonsense that you wanted to. What did I do? Yeah. I feel like sacrificing here, but it's like, no, it's nonsense. I should keep the bishop. Oh wait, why didn't I? I wanted to ask why didn't I take? That's because I'm a very strong chess player. Ha ha ha. Wait a sec. F3. No. The bishop is far away, but it still sees the g3 pawn. So you see how quirky I am. If I kept the bishop on d6, you would have seen the bishop attacks the g3 pawn. But now, collecting some stuff. Seems like I'm collecting some stuff this way. No, you don't have to be sorry. I mean, I'm obviously I'm just making stuff up. You're absolutely like free to flag me, or it's part of the game, right? Yeah, so where I was going, that the stronger engines have proved that you can play anything you like, and what changes depending on your opening choice is how vast or narrow the path to like balanced game is. So if after e4, e5, knight f3, you went knight c6, so that after bishop b5 you would have like 3-4 systems that are like just equal. Okay, maybe 4 maybe a stretch, but 3 I can easily think of, and potentially up to 5 different systems against the Rui that are holdable for black with precise play. If you played e4, e6, d4, d5, you might actually have to play only moves. Okay, maybe after knight c3 you still like bishop b4 shouldn't lose and knight f6 shouldn't lose. But you get the point, right? So the path to, say, equal or balanced game becomes narrower and narrower. The kind of the more liberty you take in the opening. And a good confirmation to this would be what's called TCEC matches, right? These matches between two computer programs.
where the system is such, like if you let two computers play, obviously there'll be 100 games match, will be 100 draws, right? So the system, for those of you unaware, they mysterious day, I think the committee who runs all the thing, they pick certain opening positions which are skewed towards like uncertainty, unclear, sometimes broken material, sometimes like broken strategic thingies. So I would say if you're talking French defense, then bishop b4, e5, and say force black to take on c3, bc3. So like broken, yeah, block center, broken pawn structure, and so on. So, and they play those games, computers, they make computers play these games in the sets of two. So with white and with black, so you play like the same position with colors reversed. And that is considered to be kind of a good test for computers' ability to understand certain type of the position, which I find perfectly fair. That's actually a great idea. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm playing something like too clever to be true. Yeah, that's a good move. That is a very good move. You know what? I'll gamble upon. Did I actively learn blindfold chess? Yeah, the thing with blindfold, I always thought there's nothing to it. And just like, you know, if you are surprised by Grandmaster's ability to play blindfold, I thought it's like, okay, you're probably just not a good player, so to speak. Until, and it wasn't too long ago. Okay, it was long ago. I'm old, but anyway. So a friend of mine, and we were both 26 plus Grandmasters, and I realized the guy has difficulties kind of understanding what I'm talking about. We played the game and we analyze it, or I thought we were analyzing it on the way back to the hotel. And then I come up with some line. The guy tries to offer a move, and the move is so ridiculously kind of weak. And I know it's not coming from a weak player. It's like 26 plus player. The move was so ridiculously weak that I realized that after couple of moves in, sort of, he loses the plot. He no longer sees the position. And I've realized that apparently people have different abilities of playing blindfold, which, yeah, it's not a big surprise, like everybody's different, but to such an extent, I would not imagine. So we are, say, equally rated, more or less, and then the skill in blindfold would be immensely different. So then answering like your question, I've never trained, but I always kind of taken it for granted, and maybe what I can do is actually cool, but I never thought of it. Yeah, like I imagine like playing a lot of games at once is kind of considered cool, but yeah, apparently it's a skill, or. Yeah, in my case again, it's not an acquired skill. It's more of a gift. Yeah, like I was training to play a few blindfold games at once. Yeah, this year you kind of train a little, or more than a little, but not that I have any like specific memorization techniques of any sort. Actually, you just like visualize. Yeah, I don't know. Is Queen D6 centralization or not? Who can tell? No, Queen D4 is centralization. Queen D6 is overextension. Okay, I can see the conversation in chat about like machine showing equality, machine showing equal position. This is one of the horrible things that happen to all the chess coaches around the world. That computer very often shows the evaluation that this position is equal, that position is equal. And let me explain myself. So
And I had this on a relatively high level. Relatively high level. I was a coach for a national team of a country. Okay, let's not go into specifics, but pretty much. One of my players has prepared a line, as it turned out, and we had a conversation before the game. He said, like, okay, I'll do this, this, and this. So he prepared the line, and he played the line, ended up in a bad position, somehow escaped with a draw. But the thing was, like after the game, I'm asking, like, why did you enter such a weird position? And the position was like he's a pawn down, and he has to prove compensation for the pawn. But it's not self-explanatory. If you have the weak king, that I know where my compensation is. I'm just like trying to checkmate you, right? It was much more trickier than that. And yeah, so we're having this conversation after the game, and he's reasoning, and it's a grandmaster talking. Like his reasoning is like, because computer says it's equal. And I said, okay, let's check with the computer. And we start checking with the computer, and what I like to do very often is like add more lines, right? So 5 lines, for instance. And you notice a strange pattern, so that my guy was playing with the black pieces, and whenever it's white to move, white has 5 different tries, all of them being equal. Whenever you make one of these moves, black has, out of 5 lines, black has 1 or maximum 2 moves that maintain the balance. Otherwise, like, black is getting into negative, so black is getting a worse position. So this is what's not equal. So if you set up 2 engines playing each other, yeah, they will play the perfect line, and yeah, and they're always going to make a draw if the position is drawish. But for us, it's not quite the same, because like basically what it means is like one side has all the chances to win, and you have to be kind of defending perfectly to keep the balance. It's not equal chances by any means, right? It's mathematically kind of equal position or drawish position, but it's not nowhere near of having equal chances. So a crazy position where both can like lose and win, this would be closer to kind of equal chances, right? Then, yeah. Anyway, so I see some people's names even like appear for the second time, and I think I've overdone it by at least half an hour. So I think this will be it for today. Thanks, guys, and please show up for the next stream. I'm here for a long time, so we'll discuss more stuff. Yeah, thanks so much, and see you.